Hi, welcome. My name is Merrill Chandler, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about how to level up your life, how to put fun and become more able in Fundable. So come and join us, and we'd love to have you level up your life with us as we start 2021.
This is the Note Closer Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here today. And happy New Year, everybody. We might be recording this in the last roughly week of the year, but we know this wasn't going to come out until the first part of January. And as always, honored to have our special guest, Mr. Merrill Chandler from getfundable.com, join us on here. He's got some cool things he's working on, and I could not think of a better way to kick off the new level, because we're all going to level up in 21. You've had
level up in 21.
Your pivot and prosper or figure the shit out in 20. That dumpster fire of the year for many people.
Yeah.
But I love what you've been doing. So what's going on, Mr. Chandler? The credit is high,
I'm so excited because the new year, I'm doing it differently this year. I'm one of those guys who has taken it started out as the last week of the year and then expanded into the last 2 weeks of the year and then turned into just from Thanksgiving on, where it's just kind of like, yeah, I guess it is what it is. And just call the game, right? Because end of the year, okay, we're calling the game. And I'm not a sluffer, but we all have that moment where we're like, you know what? I'm going to schedule this for the second week of January, right? It could be anything, a client call. It could be an enrollment call. It could be anything. Well, this year was different for me. I went to this a mastermind, and it basically lit me on fire. Their ideas said that to have EV, enterprise value, you need to have interpersonal value. Like, what do you bring as the CEO, the visionary of the organization? How finely tuned are you? Because it's not, and all of a sudden, when I thought we were going to this, evaluation seminar, business evaluation seminar, and then I end up on a beach in Newport Beach doing calisthenics and team building exercises. And I'm like, hold it. So you're saying that the more valuable I am, then the business is more valuable. Well, that just lit a fire under me. So since that day in just before Thanksgiving, I've been on fire, and I wanted to do the end of the year, the beginning of the year differently. So I'm passing that along to your tribe. I'm all about a New Year's revolution, not a New Year's resolution. So this is coming out just after New Year's, and here's how I distinguish those two. It takes 10 seconds to make a New Year's resolution. Yeah. You literally say, you know what, this year, I didn't do it last year, but I'm going to lose 10 pounds this year. Now if COVID was good to me, I've gained 35 pounds this year. And so the idea was you make a resolution, but there's not a lot of commitment to it, right? There's not a lot of structure around it that keep our feet to the fire. A revolution, on the other hand, you got to plan it. You got to make sure your messaging is right. You got to make sure there's structure to keep this baby moving. So me and my team, we're doing just that. Fundability. And here's the funny thing that I don't know. Sometimes it just doesn't happen till it happens. But I connect a lot of dots. Fundability has always been about dot connecting, right? And saying, oh, this lender says this, FICO says this. And we're like, whoa, does that mean this? test. It does mean that. All right, tribe, let's start behaving this way because it's meaningful to increase our funding approvals, right? Well, I don't know why I've been talking about borrower behaviors all this time and how to optimize our borrower behaviors to create a more abundant business and a more abundant life. But I've never talked about optimizing all of our other human behaviors, like our relationship behaviors, our health behaviors, our the intention setting behind the quality of our lives. I'm like, we've spent years talking about borrower behaviors. But what about the other things that create a high quality of life? And so that's kind of how we are defining what a revolution, a 2021 revolution looks like, is that we're now 2021 is about leveling up our lives, not just fundability. Fundability is what funds our lives. But hello, if I am sick in bed or everybody in my family is miserable because I'm a wretch when I come in from my fix and flip day, then where's the quality of life?
Yeah.
So we're expanding that, Scott, and that's the message. I level up your life, and let's stop making resolutions. Just stop it. It's a waste of time, and it's a little inane.
Well, and I agree with that. I think most people, they take 10 seconds to say something because it sounds good, but they don't plan it out. They don't plan out the fact that, oh, I need to go to the gym. Oh, I actually need to go inside the gym. Oh, I need to actually get on a bike. And oh, I need to pedal. Okay. Not just sit there on the couch. I would go to the gym and there'd be this guy that would walk in and sit on the couch and he would bring like 3 newspapers. And I asked him, I said, you're in here every day reading? He goes, yeah, my wife thinks I come to the gym and work out. So what I do is I go stand in the sauna the last 5 minutes before my hour is up, and then I leave. But I'm here just to read the paper.
I'd make it look like I had a sweat.
Yes, but that's what everybody does. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get it. See, and I've been the king of that behavior. Maybe not so much reading the paper on the couch, but there have been days at the height of it all. There have been days where it would just get to the gym. I'll take that as my first win, right? Because I was not committed to actually transforming my life. So I'm not one, you guys, your tribe needs to be aware. I'm not an athletic superhero, but I am definitely want to stop being the slug that I have been. And I've been really healthy and really committed to my health and well-being at other times earlier in my life. Then I hit a rough patch over the last 3 years, which I'm just barely coming out of. And so if I'm going to light a fire under me, it's going to be a conflagration to anybody who's in my space. It's like burn or get the hell out, because it's time.
Yeah, it is time. And that's the thing, you look at it. I mean, it's you say something really good about it. Is the quality of life is what we all strive and work for. I mean, we work so hard to have a quality of life. And that's the one thing I think you and I both do. We both travel quite a bit. We have both traveled, especially when you go to Italy. I know you've spent time in Italy. It's one of your favorite places. Same here.
Yep.
And it's a whole different. They don't live to work. They work to live.
Yeah.
And they sit around the afternoon siestas. If you're in Spain and Barcelona,
yep.
What is it? 6 weeks of vacation versus 2 throughout the year, and then, we work hard, and there's so many times that we're working on our business or in our business or on our business or working on the things that provide the thing, like with us in the real estate, the note business, with you with the, getting fundable, getting people funded for things so that they can afford to lend or buy property or notes or stuff like that. That's great. But that 80-hour work week isn't, if you're working and you don't have a good relationship with your spouses, friends. I mean, I found out one of my good friends here in Texas who's just on fire business-wise, got divorced early this year and just really struggled because he couldn't find a balance.
And I totally agree. And some people talk about work-life balance. And I first of all, don't believe in work-life balance because for many of us, work is important in our life. But there's an exercise that we're doing as part of this whole New Year's leveling up, right? But how to find your top 5 values, because it could be your children, your spouse. But here's the thing: if you don't devote any time to it, you need to quit lying to yourself and saying, in this time of my life, my children are not important to me. How do I know? I never spend time with them.
Mm-hmm.
And we tell ourselves that story. I'm doing it so that I can later, but they remember our absence at 3 and 5 and 10. You know my history. I left my children for 3.5 years, and when they were very young, and they remember. So how do we build a quality of life now while we are building our standard of living, right? That our wealth strategies for finances or our financial world are different than our wealth strategies for our relationships, our relationship wealth and our health wealth. Those are vital, and they're completely different strategies, and we need to do something in all of them, right?
Yeah, that's the truth. And planning to do it on a regular basis, put it on the schedule. If it's something that you can follow to, not only can you see it, remind yourself. That's why I think image boards are so important, because if your image boards reflects your 5 values, your focus goes where your energy goes, where your focus flows,
where your attention is.
Absolutely. And
it's where we spend our attention is actually what's meaningful to us. Now, remember, I'm the workaholic guy. Guys, I'm not preaching to you like I am no sinner.
Right.
I'm dawning on this. I'm moving into my 60th year, and I'm barely getting a clue about how to pay attention to what we were saying, pay attention to more than just what I'm creating in my life. Now, my fundability and teaching people how to be fundable is my mission. It's not just a job. I am devoted to this.
Mm-hmm.
But am I going to so let's say I have 1 million fundable people out there. Yay. And then I don't have a single friend, and my kids, we say hi at Christmas, because I have not paid attention to anything. So I want to share with one of the principles that I am that are really, really important to me, and that I want to pass along. We talk about building relationships with banks, right? Building relationships with banks. And the language we use for building that relationship is traffic, right? Money in, money out, money in, money out. Well, to use somebody else's example, traffic, what's our family relationship traffic look like? What is our investments in, deposits in, before we have to withdraw in our families? What is our I want to capture this idea and give people this tool that in your health, what are your deposits? We talk about banking traffic, and everybody's like, yeah, I want to do it right. The 1, 2, 4, 7 magic in banking. And yet we don't make deposits in our relationships. We don't make deposits into our health and well-being. And so I'm like, hold it. The metaphor for all the stuff that I've been teaching on fundability, optimized behaviors, all this stuff, we're now expanding it, because I want my tribe, I want your tribe, I want all of us to be able to enjoy more than just okay, great. Now I have 350,000 in credit lines. Now what? Great, another house. And how am I going to use that to build my health wealth or my relationship wealth? Right.
And we see that too, especially this time of year. There's a lot more causes out there. People often have causes or charities or things that they're passionate about. I don't think you and I have ever talked about this, but what's important to you outside of GF? What's important outside of you? You have some causes that I think may fall in line with your 5, or other things that you focus on outside. If we didn't know, what are those things, Merrill?
There's 2 main things that I have done. We've done actually as a Fundable group. So most Thanksgivings, we didn't this year because of the constrictions. But every Thanksgiving for years before that, we the Get Fundable team would buy all the materials to make 200 to 300 Thanksgiving sack lunches that we would take out to the cold, the hungry people out there that are homeless, or at least out and about. There are a couple of neighborhoods where it's a very homeless rich environment, and we would go feed them. And we'd build it together. We'd just have production lines of, 200 to 300 lunches. And now here's the thing. That's a lot of lunches, but my bellwether, my measuring tape was, would I want to eat this lunch? So we're like, we're buying the best that we can provide. It isn't like slap a piece of bologna on a white bread. No way, man.
It's not, it's not a Johnny sack. It's not a Johnny sack.
This is stuff that I'm like gourmet lunches, right? Because it's, at this point, it's not about the cost. It's about what do people and the goodies you pull out. And there was, water bottles, all this stuff, but there were the types of snacks that you could save. You don't have to eat you need to eat a sandwich pretty soon, right? Some of the Lunchables and the other stuff. So that's something that's been consistent for us. Related to that is we also would do a monthly Get Fundable tour down at St. Vincent's, which is what the lunch lines, right? The lunch and dinner line. So the crew would come down. We just read our time, and we get in line and we feed the folks coming in from the cold and do that. So those are very, very dear to my heart. And so it's more activities rather than donations per se, because I want to get in the fray, right? Yep. I want to be there and meet these people and share all of that. So I don't have, we do have one group up. There's a Dominican school that we've been looking at, where there's a subscription to take care of somebody, kind of adopt a family type of thing. And so that's what's on deck for our 2021. But that's the only one that is like a donation type or otherwise. Yeah. I do have something that I encourage people to do because like I said, I want to be in the fray. I want to get down in and dirty and meet people. And so if you were to go to my Jeep right now, I have several $100s in 20s and 100s that's in my console. And so when it strikes me, I will pull over. Somebody's just pushing a cart, or there's somebody coming out of a dollar store or something like that, and pull up, and as crass as some might think, that just literally say, oh, by the way, I hope you have a great day, and give them a 20 or 100. And of course, most of the time I'm bawling my eyes out by the time I get back to the car, because the response is, what the hell just happened? This is not where, I know I'm going to get a hot meal when I go stand in the soup line. I know I'm going to if I go to the shelter, I'm going to get, this is like somebody walking on the side of the street who may be fully employed. They may have but it just dawns on me, or it comes up for me that, you know what? Hey, so those are some of the I thank you for asking that question. Those are the things that are meaningful to me. Some are serialized like we do every year. Some are opportunities for us to go monthly, and then other times it's just what I do to just in the day while I'm traveling.
Yeah, we do a lot of donation to pet charity. Steph does a lot of stuff with friends and families on that. She even flies and rescues them, and we support that. But we've done a lot of that too. I've worked at several soup kitchens to help out, and see people, especially when it gets cold. That's one of the big things that I like to do. Is if it starts to get cold here in Austin, I grab extra sweaters, or there's somebody that's around, because we're starting to see more and more homeless on the north side of Austin. You see it downtown around 6th Street quite a bit because that's where the main homeless shelter is. And they plenty of charities and churches come in for those. But up here on the north side of town or overpasses, you're starting to see tents. And so it's always interesting to see, like, hey, you know, here's some food, you know, make a big extra thing of spaghetti or sandwiches or whatever it might be. It goes a long way, whether it's just socks or emergency or, you know,
absolutely.
You know, we've always been big with the military, you know, and doing Toys for Tots around the holidays, or sending out when we've got a student whose spouse is in the military, sending over 27 to 30 boxes of beef jerky and barbecue sauce and stuff like that out to
care packages.
And stickers or candy for the most part. But they say they like barbecue sauce because everything tastes like ass over there. So the more barbecue sauce and flavor they get. But those are the things I think that we remember the most. You know, that's when you can do good with what you're working hard, and life isn't always been about killing yourself. Because if you kill yourself, have no relationship with your family. Yeah, it's tough. You know?
Yeah, and we always put it off. We literally will say, "Oh yeah, this summer I'm gonna be able to afford a great big vacation," when the kids may not even notice that it has to be Disney World, present company excluded. It doesn't have to be Disney World. It just has to be going camping for an overnighter one night in the weekend, right? It's the accumulation. The parallels are just blowing my mind, but it's the accumulation of lots of little things. That's how we create fundability, is the accumulation 3, 6, 12, 24 months worth of collected, accumulated behavior changes. But I haven't been preaching that gospel about in our relationships with our children, spouses. I haven't been reinforcing that with our health and well-being, right? How do we start accumulating that same stuff that FICO is measuring like mad over on our fundability? It's still going to be highly measurable in our relationships with our children, our friends, our beloveds, right? So I'm expanding. If fundability has been this, then the next ring out is relationship health, or health and relationship. I want us to have a scatter group that's hitting all of those, mixing metaphors, all those cylinders.
Well, you're basically adding more fun to your fundable.
That's what you're doing. That's great. Remember that, Sky.
Ding. Hang on a second.
How we add more fun to fundability is to build a quality of life.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Build a quality of life. So yeah, that's what 2021 looks like for me, because our successes, I just got noticed today. We're almost
hang on.
Oh yeah. Drum roll, please. We're going to push 162 million in funding, and before the year's out. And I have an interview tomorrow for our 1,000th client funded. 1,000 client funded, and we're interviewing him, and it's a $9 million double jumbo that he was never able to do until his profile radically changed, and all of a sudden he's like that. And it's crazy, right? So all of that is so those are milestones, and I've got enough of a foothold on fundability and our results to be able to say, all right, so what are you going to do, and start training my tribe, educating my tribe on how to not just leverage the money to do properties or homes, but then how do you leverage your success to create that quality of life, right? And so my message is expanding, and it's gonna slay it.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Congratulations. 2 big milestones there. 162 million dollars and your 1,000th client, which is huge, because that's the thing, is you look back at those 1,000 clients, you've helped them in a variety of fashions. It's not just with one thing. It's repeat over and over with those good habits, and those good
that 1,000 client, that isn't 1,000 fundings, that's 1,000 clients,
unique
who
clients,
may
yeah.
have 3, 5, 7, 10 different fundings, but one client. And that's our critical number. We run our business. I encourage both our tribes to do the same. I encourage our what is the one number that drives all of your business.
Yeah.
And because to have a bunch of clients and not get them funded does not serve them or us, right? But clients funded, so the number of clients is always behind clients funded, because it may take a couple of months to get the fundings going. But we hit 1,000, and we're now interviewing him as part of my podcast, my last podcast for the year. So
that's awesome, Jim.
I'm super psyched. It's been, yeah, and my message is going to expand. So,
well, you're doing something cool here too. We talked about a little bit beforehand about leveling up, and we've talked about it a little bit. But you've been, at the end of the year, you wrapped up a 21-day challenge.
yes.
And you've also got a new one starting up here in a month in February.
Yep.
Let's talk about that. What's been involved in that 21-day?
So I wish I could say that I invented the whole idea that a new habit is designed within 21 days. 21 days of So it's not 21 days. It's 21 days of consistency. So if you have a weekly thing, 21 weeks creates a habit. 21 days if it's a daily thing, right? And so the way I finished out 2020 was think of it as a sprint to the end. We start on the 11th of December and 21 days till December 31st. So we could end on a high note. And instead of, like I said earlier, of kind of petering out like air going out of a balloon, right? Instead of petering out, how do we build to that where the end of the year, December 31st, is like, boom, like how do I get to level up? And we called it the 21-part level up series. And it has been awesome. Every day there's a challenge that in relationship, wealth, and in health, and relationship wealth, health wealth, and financial wealth. And so this entire period was, and there's small challenges, but reach out to somebody today, send them a love note, either on the phone, text, or otherwise, that hasn't heard from you in a minute, but are meaningful to you. We've talked about, today we talked about one of them we talked about was the 5 love languages. Their homework was to go find out what the love languages of 5 people in their lives and speak their language during the holiday season, right? And so it was a wonderful experience, and that's what's got me psyched about, because the goal was at the end of that 21-day sprint was we now have a plan for a New Year's revolution instead of a New Year's resolution. And so we're starting January 1st. And this announcement that we're going to be doing for the February, the run up, is happening on my 60th birthday from Cabo San Lucas. So that is going to be that'll be a lot of fun. Because I'll be in the middle of my quality of life and trying to find balance myself, and invest, put in relationship traffic and in health and well-being, put traffic through those accounts, as it were, so that I can continue to build a better quality of life.
You know, the thing that we talk about a lot, and we've both been guilty of, especially being such road warriors in the past, because we've joked about this. We saw each other more often than our family a lot of times when it was going from event to event.
Same events over and over and over,
yeah.
Monthly after month, week after week.
Yeah. You know, Steph and I were joking about how we used to live in Vegas for the whole month of October to attend three events. And could our kidneys and liver survive that now a few years later?
I know, right.
I said, we paced ourselves. We paced it slowly. We only went through 1 bottle of Crown a night versus 2, you know, just just joking. It wasn't ever that much, but that's just it. It is, but we all do that. We're all guilty of that. as
Bingers.
entrepreneurs. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, where we have some bar tabs that are more expensive than houses in some cases.
Yeah. I flipped a bar tab last night. What did you do? You know?
Yeah. Oh wait, this note I'm buying is less than my bar tab. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, depending on the quality of assets, the quality of the alcohol, and the amount of people you had it, whether it's in Vegas. But that's the thing. I think it's one of the most important things. I think people are in need of that, because especially if we look back to what the dumpster fire has been, people have been isolated. People that have worked so hard now had to isolate. We all need that human contact, and it's been really difficult in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
I know Steph and I both have talked about, hey, sometimes we just need a hug. Steph is such an epic hugger. She's like, I think I've only hugged like 5 or 6 people today. What? I was like, well, your energy level.
When she's in double digits, high double digits on a normal day.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing is, if you don't know that about yourself, it's hard to go in and do, because we've always been like, what's the next event I'm planning for? Where am I going to next? What's the when am I traveling? When am I hauling? Do I need to find a bank? Do I need to find a Wells Fargo? Do I need to find whatever out there when I'm traveling, or a FedEx, because we were always shipping stuff back out versus shipping it in? It's just
that's exactly where I've lived my life from. You're putting it exactly in perspective, because I have not set my goals by the quality of my life, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. It was how many events and how many. Now, of course, there's planning on that side, but I've never included in those plans how does this trip add to my quality of life? I've never even asked the question. I'm just like, good little soldier, getting it done, just fired up, right? But I don't say, can I add a day and go visit Muskogee, Oklahoma's salt mines, or whatever the freaking it is that's in the area, right? I've never added quality of life, even questions. And if we don't ask a question, then we'll never get an answer.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing too, is I think looking back to when I sold everything back in 2010, hit the road for what I thought would be 30 weeks, and it was like 4 years, is I would go to an event and then, like, where do I go? I don't have to fly home. Let's go have some fun. Let's catch a ball game. Let's go to the museums. Let's stay. What's playing at the theater down the road? Oh, great. Let's do that. And when we travel, when we take the time out to travel for our vacations, we do that. Like, hey, what's playing this week? What's playing at the theater tonight? Let's just go. Let's just buy a ticket. Oh, yes, we'll go watch John Wick in Spanish in Barcelona. We can't tell what the hell they're saying, but we don't need to watch John Wick. One of the most interesting movies to watch.
Because that's the kind of movie we enjoy in any language.
That's right. He's a man of few words, okay? But that's such a great...
Alto.
Yeah. Yes. Die. No mas. No mas.
No mas.
Kill them all. But I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think that's when you can have that and add that to it, you have a richness of life. And maybe it's not about closing 1,000 deals. Maybe it's about closing 500 and spend that other time with your family or friends or causes or animals or whatever you need to do to recharge your battery. Because you and I are both very, very normal to put everything we into our boot camps.
Yeah, and we don't reward it. We don't redeposit after we expend so much, right? Listening to you, it just reminds me of how many times it's just been a machine, and I've literally just fed the machine. Whereas COVID, bless its strange soul, has so many things are still so. I still get to meet with lots of people. It isn't the pressing the flesh and the booths and the talk, but I'm also there's a richness to my life now that I have time to do, because I'm not spending so much time in an airport. I'm not spending so much time at a hotel. And so now I think I'm recalibrating so that when I go, when it starts lightening up, I get to be more deliberate in how I take on that part, the standard of living stuff, hitting my sales goals and clients funded goals does not have to put a damper on my quality of life. And that, I thought the two, and now remember, my kids are raised, they're out of the house. So I'm a little more free to get out on the road without harming the immediate family. Dad's never home, right? But we're watching. I don't know if I told you, we did a last year. My children and I we're all geeks, movie geeks, and so we watched 26 hours of the entire Star Wars series, right, in chronological order from the Empire and the Rebellion, etc. So we watched 26 of those. It's a little more difficult to get together this time. So what we've done is, for a total of 8 weeks, on Tuesday nights, we're now watching the Mandalorian 2 episodes a night together on FaceTime. And we're laughing our asses off and talking to each other in the middle of Baby Yoda. Of course, there's just shrieks about Baby Yoda. And while we're watching together. So even in our isolation, we're spending the time and choosing high value sets together. Movies are a huge value set. We're going to be doing the entire series of Harry Potter.
Nice.
Just the Transformers. I mean, we're just geeks. And so these are things that we can still do bite size. It was frustrating because we thought, we got to keep this tradition. We all gather together and just binge for 24 hours. But now we get to see each other every single week. We've dedicated it to hang out and do something we all love. So that's something for our tribes to get on board with us and find ways that you can reconnect with your loved ones, and do things together, right? Do things together that supports the whole reason we're doing what we're doing. Some of us, to be fair, some of us do want to avoid our families because we're not happy in our relationships. And so we go work to avoid. Whole different arena, but we can repair those relationships, just like in Fundability, man. There's ways to repair old failed banking relationships by nurturing them, and same skill set, just different relationship.
Yeah, that's an important thing, I think, to keep in mind. Is I think COVID has forced you to have to do that. And that we look at 2020 and why you couldn't binge for 26 hours or things like that. You can still have the ability. I know that your tribe and our tribe, especially, we do so much with our Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And like we do with Monday nights on Note Night in America, and you're doing it with your office hours, stuff like that. There's just touching base.
Yeah.
One of the most important things, just touching base on a weekly basis. Hey, how's it going? What questions do you have? You surround it with specific questions or topics you talk about, but still, it's like, I value the Q&A, from people more so than anything else. How's it going? What are you doing?
I love that. And that's what our Into the Madness, we now call it Into the Madness. It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays because it's so much fun. People are trying to do their fundability task, but I love the Q&A. It's my favorite time of each week, is having the tribe get together, and it's slowly getting bigger and bigger because we're trying to bring in, there's a lot of good intel that happens there, but it's also the fun in Fundability, right? And so that's what I'm trying to do, is build more relationship. I haven't invested in my tribe. I've kind of been the guy yelling from the top of the mountain, hey, this is what works, instead of getting in the grist of it and being a part of the family, the tribe, which is, I'm all in now. I'm rubbing shoulders and making sure that I'm not just some ivory tower icon for Moses coming down with the plates or the tablets, right? I want to be in the middle of it and be a resource for people to feel better about themselves. Most of us want to feel, our self-esteem has a lot to do with how much money we have or what our credit looks like. So I'm going to start building there, but saying that's not enough. Great. Now you've got an 800 credit score, but if you feel like you're half a human being and you aren't building the other parts of you, then let's continue to work on that.
Mm-hmm. There's a story goes that my dad told me before he passed away, that a man had 3 business partners. and that he lent them all $1 million. He lent 3 of his partners $1 million that was payable upon his death. And so the man died, and there's the open casket, and the 3 other partners show up, and one deposits $1 million cash into the casket. The second one deposits $1 million into the casket. The third one pulls out his checkbook, writes a check for $3 million, deposit that into the thing, and grabs the 2 other briefcases of $1 million and walks away with it. Okay. You can't spend the money in the afterlife. You can't do that kind of stuff in the afterlife. And you have to start depositing things now. You have to start really making things work these days for the most part. Otherwise, hey, what are you going to have to take with you? You can't take it with you. You might as well try to enjoy it. My dad, who's my hero, has been gone from this world for over 10 years now. So I say that, hey, life is always about making memories.
Yes.
And you have to, that's the capital. If you go enjoy life, it's best to have somebody with you, or you take somebody along. And that's the thing.
Yes.
Yes, it's exciting. Hey, you remember when we closed that big deal? Yes. But you enjoy more of the time that you spent with the family afterwards, or the dinner, or the daughter-son games, or the daughter-daddy, or the mommy-son nights, whatever it might be, you know?
Yeah. So once again, I continue to find these just awesome parallels, but relationship equity, right?
Yes.
How much equity do you have in your relationship versus your portfolio? How much equity do we have, right? And how do we leverage that equity by making? There's just so many powerful things that we can do where our financial life is just another way of saying this. It's just another relationship. Our relationship with money, our relationship with bankers, or our relationship with our fundability is just another relationship. How do we nurture it? And then how do we leverage it to serve the other parts of our life? The more meaningful parts of our life, I might add.
Yeah. Well, you think about what's happened in 2020 with one of the number one things that only affects lives, but finances, credit, is the big D. The divorce rate is skyrocketing through the things, and
everybody are stuck with each other.
They're stuck. That's a interesting key term. Stuck with it, not enjoying being with it, and that's one thing. You know, Steph and I talk. I mean, we've been in the same house here for 9 months straight for the most part. I have an office, but I rarely go to.
Yes. But
the thing we talk about, we get along. We think we're even closer than we were before because we spent so much time traveling and being together. We enjoyed each other's company. Yeah. We've got those memories. We have our Christmas tree out, and it's loaded with all these Christmas ornaments that we have bought from every place we've traveled over the last 10 years. And when the cats, when the 2 kittens aren't crawling into it, up the tree trying to kill it, it's always one of the most reminders things of stuff like that. And we remember more about that trip than we did the closed deals or, students. I mean, we love our students. It's just a matter of,
that's just more of the same, right?
Yep.
But traveling with your family is not more of the same. It's completely different. And the ages change. The kids grow older, right? My kids now, they're all adults. So the youngest is 24, and anytime we travel or we gather for family events, it's so much different than when they were kids. So it's not like I'm repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Gotta spend time with the family. It's like, what hell raising things are we going to do this time? Because imagine 3 children who kind of have a lot of me in them,
So how many times you guys dressed up as Neo around Halloween is what I want to know, because you're a big Neo family.
Well, yeah, I'm the only Neo in the family. Oh, but we are doing an exercise for our team, which is also going to be part of this. Part of our challenge is what's your favorite superhero, and how are you most like that superhero? If you had to be a superhero, tell me why, right? What are your gifts? How do you save the day? What is it that you do? Of course, everybody knows mine is Neo, because it's about pulling back the curtain, right? And showing the truth, even if it's an ugly truth of, a world dominated by machines or funding or banks and algorithms, right?
That's the truth, man. I mean, it's such the truth. And so many of us, if we've found it hard or don't talk about it a lot of times, and that's one of the most beautiful things about masterminds is being, hey, what's really going on? We found out with our mastermind students over the last couple of years. A lot of them self-taught, homeschooled their kids, and were also very musically inclined.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of them played in bands or musical instruments. I was like, we could have had a nice note symphony orchestra for the most part.
I was going to say everybody could play notes in a symphony, just like they're learning how to buy notes, right?
Exactly. But that's the thing, and if you can identify more, it's not always about more. It's more about quality
of life versus standard of living. Exactly. Yeah, and I'm going to be preaching that gospel likely all year, if not for the rest of my tenure as the people. I have clients come to me all the time. They're like, "You've done amazing. I know how to do notes, but when you finally have the money to write checks and do deals at less money, they're used to paying hard money, right? Yeah. So they're adding another 15, 20 grand to their bottom line, and they're like, what do I do with this much firepower?
Yep.
Right. And some people before they get their whatever it is, 500 grand, 300 grand, 700 grand, before they get it, they're like, yeah, it's just an idea. I will crush this as soon as I possibly can. Right. And then they say they want $1 million in these lines of credit. Then they hit 350 and they're like, Merrill, I cannot deploy what we already have. I don't want to work this much. I don't want to work this much. How do I have way too much for this. You gave me a bazooka and I can barely use a
fly swatter.
Right. I had a BB gun before you, and you just dropped a bazooka in my space.
Oh, and that's the thing is you have to grow into things. I think if you've ever wanted to go from making 50 grand to 100 grand or 100 grand to $250,000 to $500,000 to $1 million, you have to grow that mindset to reach those levels. But you also, you have to learn to balance that out. I mean, there's not really, like we said, a work-life balance, but you still gotta, hey, what's priorities? Is your kids
right? Because imagine what happens if somebody goes, oh yeah, I now have 700 grand. I'm going to do 7 of these a quarter. And they're like, now they have no life. And instead of making it simpler and easier, some of us just have that habit that I'm just going to go until the end of the day and everything else be damned. And so part of my shift towards quality of life, instead of just funding, is the result of these conversations, heartfelt conversations with clients who are like, dude, I don't know what to do now. And people are like, when I tell the story, they're like, come on, give me that money. I can't wait to have that conversation when they have 600 grand. They're like, I don't want to work this.
Yeah.
I don't have to work this hard now that I make this much more per deal. Because everybody's like, keeping their project P&Ls are based on really expensive money. But when they put another $20,000-$30,000 per deal in their pocket, and they're like, this is free money. I'm not working harder, but I'm paying less for the tool, right? And so I'm matching them with this idea of that. Let's not work so hard. Mm-hmm. You don't have to. Just let's make it easy and fun in Fundability.
Yeah, let's put, as we said, put more fun and more able to have in Fundable. 2 words: able and fun.
I love 21. It. Let's put yes. So now I'm on a. I guess my crusades never end, but I am now leveling up myself. My message is leveling up because we've done this long enough for people to get the resources they need to like, whoa, I'm making 20 grand. I was doing 5 a quarter. That's another $100,000 per quarter I put in my pocket without doing another nail or sanding another banister or flipping another property. It's the same, more money, same amount of work or even less. So that's what so now how do we leverage it our standard of living, financial desires, financial wealth into quality of life?
Well, I think it all comes down to, and I hate to say this, but we're running out of time a little bit, but I think it all comes down to figuring out what you can do now and adding to that. You didn't start off with 300 sack lunches. You started off with 10, 20. And if you need to know, I mentioned the term Johnny Sack. And if you don't know what Johnny Sack is, check it out. We don't want you to find out what it is, but Google it and find out what it is, because we don't want you to go through that.
A Johnny Sack.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
These are Johnny Sacks on steroids then by the internet.
Exactly. But that's the point, is start somewhere. If you passionate about wanting to save animals, save one animal before you go out and try to save 1,000. If you want to help one family versus helping 1,000 people, buy one turkey versus trying to buy 1,000 turkeys.
Yes. We don't have to wait.
Exactly.
We don't have to wait until, okay, we got to do 200 sack lunches, right? We can start out small. We can start today. What can I do today? And that's what the 21-day challenge we just finished. The 21-day, the 21-day sprint was about doing a thing. We called it the extra mile. As well as I do, when we leave, if we go the extra mile, right? We mow the common strip between us and our neighbor. We pay for the person behind us at the toll booth, right? You've done it where you're like, hey, here's some, keep the difference. This is for the person behind me.
Or do it at Starbucks.
Yes. Anything we do that is more than is required of us, we always feel euphoric. Always, always, always. And so that's the theme of this, is how do we get that and one? How do we get that alley-oop? How do we get the extra mile or above and beyond, right? That is what I've been that's what this entire sprint has been about, is just doing one more thing. I've even challenged my team members and the viewers, my tribe, drop it in there. What are you doing today that's the and one? One guy said, I'm going to go, my daughter's in cross country, so she trains, and I'm going to go run with her. And I hasn't run with her in forever, but decided, what, I'm going to go run with my daughter. A guy said, I'm going to clean my office. It wasn't on his to-do list. It wasn't clean up by the end of the year. It's just like, that's my and one. And they're euphoric about, and you're always in a good mood when you're doing, I'm really happy today. That's what we want to, what I want to encourage, is not the checklist. It's the thing that's not on your checklist that's going to end your day like super powerfully and end our year. That's why we did it for 21 days.
There you go. Well, I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's start the year off right, ladies and gentlemen. You got a couple of weeks there. You're kicking this back off on the 1st of February.
Yep.
And definitely let's start a revolution.
Watch it. Watch at getfundable.com. If you haven't been to my boot camp, go to getfundable.com and you'll see notices, advertisements. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Get Fundable Facebook page. Facebook, Get Fundable. Check it out. That's where you're going to see. You can go back and take the 21-day challenge. If you go to there right now, you can go back and do that catch up. You're going to love so many of the cool exercises we did, and that'll just get you ready to go. So it's Facebook, Get Fundable, and just check it out. Join us. We'd love to have you be a part of our leveling up your life. 2021.
That's right. Make yourself more able and have more fun in your life.
Yes.
More fun in 21. So
absolutely.
Merrill, appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much for everything, buddy. And
love being with you and your tribe, man. Always a delight.
Same here, man. Hey guys and gals, go out there, listen to what Merrill has said. Hope you've enjoyed this last hour. I know I have. And make 21 different. If you see things saying, hey, that little 5%, that little bit extra, that and one can go a long way. And let's try to add a little joy back into people's lives with a little bit of actions. It's the small things that make a big difference in our lives, not only in our business, but our families and our clients. So take it to the next level, and we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Bye.